just write a book. Welcome to the Supper Club. My name is Joe Fresta, and I'll be your host. The Supper Club, brought to you by Mercy Health, transforming the health of our communities. Kuna Food Service, a family-owned tradition since 1918. Lordo's Diamonds, your family jeweler for life. Pristine Design Build, boutique residential solutions for your home. Oliva on the Hill. And Fresta Limoncello. Keep sipping, my friends. Welcome to the Supper Club. My name's Joe Fresta, and I'll be your host for a culinary journey all across the nation with some of the top restaurateurs, chefs, and celebrities. Today I have a gentleman here who needs no introduction. Over 50 years in the restaurant business. He's even written a book about it. He's built over 72 restaurants. Mr. Joe Fresta Sr., my father.
Thank you,
Dad,
Joe.
How are you? Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. Glad I can help you.
I wanted to get into it. We'll go to the earlier years, but you grew up in this neighborhood. We're here live from Oliva on the Hill, and you grew up not too far from here. You were born and raised?
21 Shaw.
That's right.
My first job on the Hill was Angelo's Restaurant on Shaw Avenue.
Which is now Charlie Gito's.
Which is now Charlie Gito's. And I was a busboy. And I think then he was paying us like $2.50 an hour. So we made a good $7 or $8 a night.
So what was it obviously you wanted to get into the restaurant business. When you got older, you probably, was it watching the owners walking around, or the important people that would go out to dinner back in those days? Because not everybody would go out to dinner back
Right.
then. It was
It
was a luxury to go out to dinner. So was it the hustle and the bustle and the types of people would come in through the door?
No, it was Charlie and Richard. When we were all young and kids, we all worked in restaurants and we all hung out together. And push comes to a shove, Charlie and Richard started working for Andrino's. You want me to start way back then?
Andrino's, okay.
On Edwards, Dominic's old restaurant right now. Dominic.
We're referring to a lot of the old restaurants
Yeah.
that were originally here in the Italian section of St. Louis.
And it started out, Richard and Charlie both worked there. Richard was a bartender, Charlie was a waiter. And there was a guy who used to come in every Friday night. His name was Dave Webb. He had a lot of money. And one night he came in and he's talking to Richard Ronzio, who was behind the bar. And he asked Richard, you think you and Charlie would like to own a restaurant? He didn't tell him where it was. He just threw the question out. And Richard right away said, well, yeah, I think we would, but we don't have any money.
Right.
So,
So Mr. Webb was their backer.
Mr. Webb was.
Gave him the location on Delmar.
So he gave him the location on It was a deli. It was already open. It was a Jewish deli. And Richard and Charlie said, okay. So they took it, and right away they wanted to go in there and convert it into a Italian deli.
Yeah, it was pretty much. They still had some Jewish plates.
Oh, they had everything.
Mixed in with
Joe.
a lot of
they had
some
pastrami.
Italian.
They had matzo ball soup. They had knishes. They had everything, and they kept a lot of it mixed in with Pasta House. Not Pasta House. Rich and Charlie's salad.
Right.
The specials, the pastas, the artichokes, stuffed artichokes. Nobody knew what stuffed artichokes were way back then.
Yeah.
It was Charlie's idea with the salad. The salad just went nuts.
I want to talk a little bit about the salad. That's pretty much what put you guys on the map. I mean, that salad, that Pasta House Company salad is world famous. People try to duplicate it in their homes. At other restaurants, you go to different Italian restaurants.
Well, the secret is the vinegar, Regina vinegar, and Parmigiano cheese. You have to have Parmigiano cheese. You can't use stale cheese
Right.
and make the salad, But that's it. It's very simple. And how it started, Charlie on Del Mar was making salads. We had a open counter where you mixed the salads, everything in front of everybody. And he just threw some cheese on it one night, mixed it up, and Richard was going crazy. What are you doing with the cheese? I don't know. It was an accident.
Like toasted ravioli. It was an
It was
accident.
an accident. So, and then pretty soon they started tasting it, and it had a good taste to it. And
Yeah.
man, if it wasn't for the Jewish people, Rich and Charlie's would have never got off the map.
Yeah, I mean, that Del Mar Bonham area was a highly concentrated Jewish neighborhood, and they
Yeah.
supported you guys. Of course,
Yeah.
it was a Jewish delicatessen at first, and then Charlie and Richard sort of segued it into the Italian thing. Probably brought in some things like cannelloni and lasagna
Yeah.
and ravioli, and then it
Well,
just...
the thing was, let's go back to when they took over the restaurant. They needed to do some work in the restaurant. I was a carpenter then, and Charlie says, Joe, he says, help us out here. We'll pay you with food or whatever we can get.
Right, trade out.
Trade out. It
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of work, but it was pretty much work. So I went in there on Saturdays, Sundays, nights. It took me about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks of steady work to convert it into a little deli. Then it was 1,400 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
We had a kitchen that was 8 by 8. We had a front counter. We had everything was made in front of everybody. The only thing in the back, we cooked the pastas and made all the different knishes and Jewish stuff. And opened it, and boy, it was just a success. I mean,
Yeah.
we couldn't
People just line out the door.
ran out the door.
And you didn't have a liquor license either. People brought had to bring their own wine.
Yeah, very
and-
good. There was a Jewish community right across the street, and they didn't want any liquor within 500 feet of their premise.
Synagogue or whatever, yeah.
So we went for years without a liquor license.
Right. But that was kind of the gimmick there, was bringing your own
Yeah,
bottle
it
of
was.
wine.
It was. People liked
kind of
that.
a gimmick. And then you guys got into more of a higher-end establishment called the Trattoria, located on Oakland
Well, you
Avenue
missed
next
one.
to the old
You
arena.
missed one. We started after Del Mar. Charlie was ambitious, and he wanted to do another restaurant. And we did one on Woods Mill Road. It was like it was strictly a carry-out restaurant. And again, it needed work. And again, Joe Fresta went there, remodeled the place,
Yeah.
and ate for nothing and this and that. And that opened up, and that was a bang. It was a West County. The name was spreading like wildfire. And that went like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then from there, Charlie decided he wanted to step it up a little bit, a little
Right.
different menu.
Different vibe, white tablecloth.
So we opened the Trattoria, probably one of the best Italian restaurants other than Tony's or.
It was right up the street from the old arena where the St. Louis Blues played, and you had a lot of athletes, celebrities would
God.
come in there. I remember Charlie Schmidt,
Hockey
the Rolls
days,
Royce
hockey
dealer.
days, it was just jam-packed.
Yeah, yeah.
And the food was excellent. The food was really
Yeah.
good. It was all Charlie and Richard's. Believe me, those two guys knew what they were doing. They knew how to cook.
Yeah.
And that went over big also. So then, in the meantime, my father owned a pizza parlor on Southwest
South Magnolia.
South Magnolia.
Yep.
And he wanted to get out of it, and he asked me. I said, Dad, I'm carpentering, I'm doing this. So he said, well, try it, take it and try it. So I took the pizza business. God, that was in 1960,
7.
was it?
Yeah, I think so. I was 2 years old.
2 years old.
Yeah.
Phyllis used to carry him down to the.
We lived right down the street.
Yeah.
In a shotgun home. Yeah, and it was Bastiano's.
It was called
It was your
Bastiano's
father's
Pizzeria.
name.
And we had a great little pizza parlor there. I mean, we sold a hell lot of pizzas, didn't we?
Yeah, you did.
We had
Nick Junta was your pizza man.
Attaboy,
Yeah.
Vic Junta, and I had Ron Caputa, our cousins, working for us. Laura Caputa worked for us.
Ann
Ann made all the
made all the sauce.
got
Yeah.
ready for. So anyway, Phyllis used to take the kid, Joe, down there, get it all set up. I'd come home from work, take a shower, and go to work.
Yeah.
So I did that for 4, 5, 6 years, and I ended up. In the meantime, Charlie Mugavero's asking me about joining Rich and Charlie's, and I never did want to do it. I was just had too much on my plate. I didn't think it was
Doable.
doable,
Yeah.
right? So eventually, I did it. I was working for Rollo Contracting then, and I asked Charlie Rollo, I said, Charlie, I got a chance to get into the restaurant business, but I don't know. He said, Joe, he said, go ahead and do it. And he said, if you need any money, I'll give you the money.
I remember that day
Yeah.
because you threw Paul and I in the car, and we drove out to West County. We never saw West County before. Drive up to this beautiful house, Charlie Rollo, and he had a built-in swimming pool
Yeah,
in
he
his
had a
backyard. And
Lay Road.
you and Charlie were sitting up on the pool deck, kind of sitting at
Wow.
the table talking. And Paul and I are looking at this. We never saw a built-in swimming pool before. We were just thinking, man, why don't we go? And Charlie goes, "Go ahead, take your clothes off and jump in it with your underwear." So we jumped in, and I think that's when
Yeah.
he gave you the permission to go ahead and
Yeah,
do what you want to do.
He wanted to give me the money, and I said, "Well, okay, let's." I decided to go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
And then when I did it, I asked my uncle, Sam Caputa, if he would help us out with. I think I needed $10,000 then. Mm-hmm. $10,000 then was like $50,000 or $100,000 now.
right, sure.
So I got involved, and then now I'm working Rich and Charlie's and Bastiano's. So something had to come to a head, so I got rid of Bastiano's. I sold it
Sure.
to Carlo Lamarca. Remember our cousin
Sure,
Carlo?
sure.
And then I went to.
Then you went to work. Your first restaurant. You partnered up with Kim Tucci, who we'll talk about later. You opened up your first restaurant out in Baldwin and
Right.
on Manchester Road in Holloway. And,
That was our first one,
That was
but
that was a long way because Highway 44 wasn't built yet. So you had to take Manchester Road all the way out from basically the hill to go to work.
45-minute drive.
Yeah, yeah.
And originally, I started working when I started working for Rich and Charlie's. Though the first one I did, using my carpenter ability, it was Lime Ferry for Emil and Marty. Richard brought his 2 nephews involved, Emil and Marty, and offered them the same deal they offered me, a franchise for Rich and Charlie's. So I built the first franchise at Lime Ferry for Marty and Emil,
Sure.
and then worked it. And then from there, I went to Baldwin,
Right.
built the one in Baldwin.
Right.
Didn't have a partner then. And then-
Really?
and then-
Okay. Well, learn something new
and
every
then
day.
John Farrar comes into the picture,
Right.
and John was now part owner of Rich and Charlie's. It's a heck of a story. I mean, it gets involved. But anyway, John and Kim Tucci were real close friends all through college and high school, and he brought Kim in one day to meet Richard and Charlie and me, and he said, "I'd like to partner you guys up,
Sure.
and you would take."
Which is
'Cause-
basically a franchise today.
Yeah, they were all
Right.
franchises then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Interesting. So you two partnered up.
We
you would
partnered
work.
up.
You were still working construction though. You'd work construction during the day.
Yep.
Then drive out after, and
Yep,
Kim would
yep.
work lunch. You would work the evening, and then come. That was a long day for you, wasn't it?
It sure
You get up
was.
early in the morning, go on a construction
I never
site.
saw you guys wake.
No, you didn't see us
grow
very
up
much.
at all. Mom,
You didn't see many of my hockey games. I know that, but not in the
Paul's.
early days.
Yeah, the early days.
No, but yeah, that was. That's amazing what you did. I mean, you had to get up in the morning, go work construction, which isn't easy physically, and then come home, take a quick shower. You might have had time for dinner maybe with us, or else Mom would throw us in the car and drive out there. But and then you just drive out Manchester Road all the way out to Baldwin, which was a
Yep.
long way away,
That was
and
true.
work all night at the restaurant. That's when restaurants would stay open a lot later
Oh,
back
business
then.
was great then.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We've had waiting lines at 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
And then that was our fourth restaurant that Charlie wanted to do, and he kept growing and wanting to do more and more and more. And we did one more before he went to Mexico and died.
Kuna Food Service, providing quality food to people across the Midwest, is part of our rich history at Kuna because food brings people together. We specialize in having a large variety of food products and food supplies, catering to an array of businesses that turn to us. Kuna Food Service, a family-owned tradition since 1918.
What do you want me to do? Cook dinner and pick her up from soccer practice? Oh my gosh.
Take a number.
And also took her to school.
Nobody likes to wait. Mercy is eliminating the wait for great health care. Our online tools mean you can get the care you need now. Mercy Now.
Thank you.
More of what you need now.
Oliva on the Hill. It's Italy in the city. With exquisite old world charm, this ideal setting is perfect for your next special event, wedding, just having lunch, or enjoying Wine Down Wednesday and the Antique Market. Check it out, olivaonthehill.com. Lordo's Diamonds, your family's jeweler for life. Family owned and operated for over 70 years, specializing in engagement rings, fashion jewelry, gemstones, and in-house jewelry repair. Relaxed, friendly atmosphere, competitive pricing, and a selection second to none. Conveniently located just west of the Galleria on Clayton Road. Lordo's Diamonds, your family's jeweler for life. LordosDiamonds.com. Go Fresta for Fresta Limoncello. My handcrafted small batch citrus liqueur is perfect for sipping or pouring in a cocktail. All natural, gluten-free, Fresta Limoncello is sold at Schnucks, Dierberg's, Straub's, Total Wine, and local restaurants. Fresta Limoncello. Keep sipping, my friends.
He died in 2000. No.
I want to say 1971,
Yeah,
72.
73. Yeah,
72. Died.
72.
He and his wife were going to Acapulco. And
They left the baby home. They had a little baby.
Yeah.
Left the baby home. Went to Acapulco, hit a mountain, and died.
Yeah, died in an airplane crash. Very unfortunate situation.
So that threw a wrench into everything. Rich Ronzio, he didn't know what to do. John, good thing John Ferrara was a partner then because he kind of picked up the parts and put it together, and
Right.
we kept going. We did what Charlie McRivera wanted to do, open restaurants.
Sure.
And from then on, Joe, we were probably opening 2 or 3 a year.
So that was when that's when the transition was from into the Pasta House company came to be, and you guys had a little bit of a couple partners went. Emil and Marty went their separate
Well, that
ways.
was,
And then you guys started the Pasta House company full bore, and like you said, just started opening up
we
restaurants.
got rid of Rich Ronzio, and
Yeah.
it just, everything evolved around.
Sure.
And then the franchising was just incredible. We had a franchise meeting. No, we had a show at the Kiel. What's the convention center? We had a show at the convention center. It was a show for drawing,
Franchise.
franchises.
Show. Yeah.
And sure enough, we got about 6 people that wanted franchises. It was crazy. And we started opening franchises.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, we just didn't know what to do. We were just opening. At one time, it was like 3 a year.
Right.
I was never home then.
Yeah,
I
no,
was
you
gone
weren't
all
around
the
much.
time.
Yeah, no. But yeah, at that point, at the height, how many Pasta House Company restaurants were there at the very height?
There was 30,
Ballpark.
33.
33 restaurants.
33
And that's not, is that counting the theme restaurants you did?
No.
There were a lot of theme restaurants. They would
Yeah.
break off.
Yeah.
They did restaurants, Mike Shannon Steakhouse. You had the Flamingo Cafe, which was a
Palm
big
Beach.
hit. The Palm Beach.
Yeah. We had Brett Halls. We had
Bread Halls.
the basketball coach,
Charlie Spoon Hour.
Charlie Spoon Hours. We did everything.
Yeah.
And we're almost forgetting, Joe, way back in 1970, late 70s, we opened Little Ernie's.
Little Ernie's
Remember that?
was a fast food concept
We
that
tried,
you tried
we
on,
tried to be ahead of our time.
on
and
Dorset Road. Little bitty place where you drove up, ordered your
pasta to go.
pasta to go. Yeah.
I didn't make it.
Yeah. A little before your time.
Yeah, well, a year and a half we lasted. We
Yeah.
turned it into a pasta house, sold it as a franchise, and it killed them.
Killed
It
'em.
was busy.
Yeah.
It was busy.
Yeah. Just goes to show you, don't color outside the line. Stick to what you know, right?
That's right. That's right.
I want to get into, you talked about John Ferrara, you talked about Kim Tucci. Tell me what kind of an influence John had on you personally,
Well,
as a partner and as a friend.
We grew up. John was way young. He was like 7 years younger than me. But we grew up together on the hill. I knew his whole family, his father. I knew everybody. And John took me in, and he was like the leader of the group. I mean, this guy was so demanding and so,
Right,
and you wanted to listen to him and you wanted to do what he said.
right,
And he was always right,
Right.
when it came to restaurant work.
right.
Kim was the same way. Kim was, Kim was unbelievable. First of all, we all had different jobs.
Yeah,
I was in head of construction and didn't have much to do with the food. John was in charge of taking care of the office, running the office,
sure.
handling the help. Kim was PR, liquor, restaurant stuff. And we all got along unbelievable.
You kind of, partnerships are difficult, right? But you guys, and especially with an odd number, because there's always, you could have 2 guys against 1 or whatever, but you guys seem to just
We never
work it out. I mean, because
we
I
never-
think
yeah.
you would handle the design, build, repair of the restaurants, remodels. John would take care of operations.
exactly.
And you had Kim take care of all the marketing. And I think you guys sort of stayed out of each other's hair, and that's what made it work so well. Talk about that synergy.
And Kim did a hell of a job with marketing. He was just unbelievable. He put Pasta House on the map. He really did.
Sure.
He introduced some stuff in house that really picked up our sales. I mean, he was on top of it. Well, first of all, he was in school. He was in speech. So
Sure,
he was
communications major.
communications and
Yeah,
speech. So.
yeah. So that served him well. Of course, your construction background served you well.
Nobody messed with anybody.
You probably saved the company, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions
Well,
in construction costs, because
doing
you
it-
knew what you were doing.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
we more or less we had our own company for a while.
Yeah.
Same guys were doing all the work.
Right.
You know,
You had your
we
own
were saving
construction
more
company.
money. That's another reason we spread out so fast.
I want to talk a little bit more about some of the dishes that were made famous by the Pasta House Company. You had, of course, the Pasta House Company salad. You had chicken flamingo, and of course, pasta con broccoli. were probably your three go-tos.
Well, two of those were generic recipes. I mean,
Sure.
everybody had them. But like the broccoli, I mean, that's...
But people love it. That's
Yeah.
what they talk about. When they go to Pasta House Company, it seems they're always wanting to get pasta con broccoli or the salad or the chicken flamingo.
And you forgot the artichoke.
You know,
That
or the
was-
stuffed artichoke, which nobody
Nobody ever
does
had a
that.
stuffed artichoke.
No, there's a lot of labor involved in that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's probably why a lot of restaurants,
But
Italian restaurants,
everything
don't
else
do it.
was generic. I mean, you couldn't put a lot. We didn't have. We did start the pesce alla fresta.
Your brother
Buddy
invented
Fresta,
that.
Buddy
Your brother
Fresta.
Sebastian.
That was a big. It's still a hit.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, we sell that pesce like it's out of style.
Yeah, the Sicilian grilled pesce. That's
Yep.
another one. The breaded fish.
And then our cheesecakes. Our cheesecakes. We've been making cheesecakes for 50
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Your cousin Mary Ann makes them at the commissary
Yep.
by hand.
She's been doing them from day
yeah,
one.
yeah, for a long time.
We had that commissary on Manchester.
Let me ask you, in any given year, maybe when you had those 30 some odd stores, how many tons of pasta do you think you sold?
Tons. Well, I know, I don't know how many tons, but I know we used two containers. Two containers
Yeah,
used to be shipped to
We're in the tons. If it,
U.S. Foods. And
that's amazing.
It's a lot of tons.
That's a lot of pasta. Yeah.
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 U.S. Foods used to get that, and they'd store it for us. And it was Barillo pasta. I'll never forget it.
Barilla. Sure.
Barilla.
From
And then
Italy.
now we're using a different one, but I think we're going to go back to Barilla. Lettuce. We were probably the largest user of lettuce in the Midwest at one time. And when we were going full blast, it was just crazy. Parmesan cheese. We used to get containers full of wheels.
Wheels. Sure.
The wheels of Parmesan. We used to cut them on in
And
the
grind them.
yeah,
I remember. Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, you were probably the largest user of pasta in the country at that time.
we were.
Yeah, Parmesan cheese too. Now that you mention it, yeah, amazing. And you wrote a book about it, "The House That Pasta Built."
Well, you know, so many people were on my butt for years to tell the story about Rich and Charlie's and the Pasta House, and I give them a fast rundown of what happened.
You got tired of talking about it, so you thought you'd just write a book.
And a good friend of mine, Joe Rena, we grew up together.
Here on the hill.
Yeah, and he said, I'll write it with you, because I tried to get it written with a professional company, and I think the book would have been $300,000.
Yeah, right.
We did it with Joe Rena, and it only probably cost us about $15,000 or $20,000.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing.
And
You
that
wrote
was
the
it.
book, and people seem to really think about. You know,
Yeah.
you figure, you've been in the business for, well, probably I'd say 60 years
Easy.
total. Yeah,
With Rich and Charlie's,
50, and then Bastiano's. and-
unheard of, really. You
yeah,
never heard,
it really is.
in the restaurant business,
Right. You're probably
us and Tony's and Chemo's and
Sure.
that's unheard of.
long time.
You got to be
Long
doing
time.
something right.
That's right. Yeah, and you guys did. I mean, you had a lot of people who had worked for you as young people, as servers and chefs and cooks and whatnot, and they've all branched off, and a
Got
lot of
their
the
own
restaurants in
places,
town got these
they're all over
restaurateurs
town,
got their
yeah.
start with you.
You know, we forgot to mention. I remember I had 3 franchises in the Dominican Republic.
That's right. You guys had opened them up everywhere. You had 3 in the Dominican.
Yeah.
You had one out in California, I believe.
We had 2 in
in
California,
Anaheim.
2
You
in
had
Florida,
some in Florida.
all over. We were all over the place.
Yeah. Bethesda, Maryland.
Bethesda,
Yeah,
Maryland,
Yeah.
Ziamia's.
Kansas City for a short time. Dad, I want to ask you another question. When you go out to dinner in St. Louis, where do you like to go?
You know, Joe, there's so many good restaurants in St. Louis. I I can't give you a individual restaurant. I mean, Paul Mano's, and
Yeah.
there's just tons of them.
We're very fortunate here, no
Yeah,
question.
Dominic's on the Hill is excellent.
Yeah.
It's a hidden. John Minio's. I just
Pepe's Apartment too.
Pepe's Apartment too.
Of
Phenomenal.
course, these are all Italian restaurants, but
But yeah, I don't think I have a favorite.
yeah. There's so many,
Yeah, there is so many.
and not just Italian restaurants. There's so many other ones.
And you
that
can't
go-
compare them.
No.
They're just,
Now, if I were to put you on a private jet right now, go anywhere in the United
Oh,
States,
boy.
where would you eat? Where would you go eat?
I would go to a town we would go to Venice.
Oh, Venice. We're going to leave the country. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to go to
Go to
Venice.
Italy.
Italy.
Why not?
And we're going to eat at, you said if I had a choice to go
Yeah, go
somewhere?
anywhere. I was going to say anywhere in the United States
Oh.
first, but
No.
probably New York or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, New York, Cipriani's.
Cipriani's. Sure.
In New York.
I've heard you talk about them.
It was part of a restaurant that Mom and I ate in Florence
Mm-hmm.
called Harry's American Bar.
Okay.
And the Cipriani's, then from there they came to the States.
Now I remember Mom used to talked about Tony's earlier, but Anthony's. That was Mom's favorite restaurant.
Yeah, it was.
You guys used to go to Anthony's.
It was tremendous too.
They had two restaurants. One was Anthony's.
Yeah,
one
one
was
was
Tony's.
Tony's, yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you were to go to Italy, where would you go?
Forte dei Marmi, a little bitty town with it's called Forte dei Marmi. It's got 4 lakes involved in it.
Uh huh.
And there's a restaurant there. It's called Lorenzo.
Uh huh.
And it was the best. I mean, you thought you died and went to heaven.
Yeah, yeah, I'll bet. So
And
good over there.
we've been there 4 times. Joe Reno introduced us to it
Sure.
because we never went to that Forte dei Marmi. But the other one is the one in Venice.
Okay.
Harry's.
You've been around the business now. We talked about it, 60 years. It's in today's restaurant world, what do you think is the biggest challenge?
Yeah, that's a good question. 4, 5, 6 years ago, Clovis came in here and destroyed the restaurant business.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, the challenge has been food costs, liquor costs, labor costs.
Yeah.
Our costs, you had to have control your costs to make it. Plus, the absentee of help.
Right.
We had no help.
Yeah.
So that was our biggest concern of how we're going to manage business when COVID tried to put us out of business.
Yeah, COVID really threw a wrench
Oh,
into the restaurant
kill-
industry.
killed us.
It forced you guys to retool the whole thing
It
on how you
closed
do
us,
business.
yeah.
And then moving forward, it still had an effect on you. So
That's what. Then our carryout business was born
sure.
because of. That's how we survived during the time.
Yeah, right.
We
yeah.
had carryout business. Couldn't come in the restaurant, so you had to pull up in the front, bring it out. Bring
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It was just a joke.
Yeah, yeah, it was a different world. Those
So that was
couple
our
of
big
years.
concern.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about growing up in the Hill neighborhood, the Italian section of St. Louis.
Oh,
You know,
every
the
kid
things
sh-
you did as a kid. This is way back when, probably during the Depression. And what did you played a lot of sports? Of course, there was
soccer.
a few restaurants that you guys kept your eye on and got involved with as young kids going to work.
Yeah,
You played soccer. Tell us
Soccer.
about your soccer days.
soccer with St. Ambrose.
Sure.
Well, first of all, the Hill was known for, St. Ambrose was known for soccer. There was no question about it. St. Ambrose, if you played soccer with St. Ambrose, you were a top-notch soccer player.
And you
And-
played against Manchester United
We played,
one time, didn't
well,
you?
that was an all-star game.
Yeah.
But soccer then was, on the Hill, we never knew anything about anything but soccer.
yeah.
There was no such thing as golf. First of all, we never knew where Limburg is.
Right.
We never got that far.
You barely went past Hampton Avenue.
Never went past Hampton Avenue. And nobody could afford a golf course, play golf. No way.
No.
Here's something funny. We built a brand new school. Oh, God. I was in the 6th grade. What year would that be? I graduated in 53. In 48 or 9. I was in the 6th grade. We built a brand new school next door to the old school. And we had a gymnasium.
That the old school didn't have.
Oh, but the old school didn't have anything. It was just a
Right.
little block right on the corner across the street from Dominic's right now.
Sure.
They tore it down. Anyway, they built the gymnasium. And I'll never forget this. We went into the gymnasium. We looked around. Well, what are we doing here? So we start kicking the ball. Father Polizzi comes in there. What are you guys doing? He went crazy. You got to play basketball. What's basketball?
They were playing indoor soccer before its time.
What's basketball? That's when Joe Garla come in and helped us out big time. He was the first basketball coach.
And that's how you grew your love for basketball. And then you went on and played at CBC High School with another famous St. Louisan, Mike Shannon. Yeah.
The best thing was when we opened a restaurant together.
Yeah. Tell us about the
We always
steakhouse.
talked about it in school. I said, you know what, Mike? When he first signed with the Cardinals, I said, when you get going there, we're gonna open a restaurant, you and I. Yeah, okay, yeah. So about
Okay, big
5,
boy.
6, 7, 8 years later, we opened a restaurant.
Yeah.
He was good to be partners with.
It was a great restaurant. It was a nice, fine dining steakhouse.
He worked his butt off too.
Yeah, a lot of celebrities. Willie Mays would be in there.
Oh, everybody.
Mickey Mantle, you name it, and all the great shows he'd do after the ball game.
Yep.
And the guests.
Him and
he'd
Jack
have.
Buck were just tremendous.
Yep, Willie McCovey. I remember a lot of famous ball players would come in and out of that restaurant, and a lot of celebrities too, for that matter.
Yeah.
So
And we eventually sold it to him and moved on.
and stuck with the Pasta House
Yep.
Company. Yeah, Dad, I want to thank you for coming in today and spending a little time.
no
and
problem. I'm
Reminisce
glad-
down
I'm glad
memory
we got
lane
to-
for
got
the
to-
first episode.
Yeah, got to say some of the stuff that put us on the map.
I want to thank one of our sponsors, Lordo's Diamonds, and of course, we will be filming here live from Oliva's on the Hill. Tremendous event space here in the neighborhood. The old Sala's Restaurant, world famous. One of the very few restaurants that was in the Hill neighborhood. The Italian community here back in the day was quite the spot.
Yeah, it sure was.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on another episode of The Supper Club.